Hi everyone, it's Philippa at Flipcat Craft. Thanks for dropping by. Welcome back to my channel. Today it's a video in my book page series, but it's also a little bit different from my usual ones because it's a collage masterboard, and I have actually done the collaging, so that's why it's a little bit different. If you've been watching my series on making a lapbook out of a cereal box, that's ongoing, and I'm doing it through shorts, so not really sure where that's up to or what order that I'm going to release these in. So if you haven't checked it out, have a look at it. But I've had a lot of scraps left and papers from the actual journals that I'm making, and also like a lot of offcuts like this from the papers that I'm using for the papers that I'm using. It's called Time Traveler's Memories. I think I called it the Time Traveler's Wife, which is, I realized as I said, it was a novel. And I've got this in the artist trading card size, and also the whatever size this is, project life size. So I'm mixing them in as I make the lapbook. But what I found is I was just getting a lot of scraps, and I keep this little container next to my desk with scraps, a lot of book page scraps, etc. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make myself a collage masterboard, which I did. Now, first of all, and I've mentioned this before, I like to use die cuts with the view pages. They're quite thick and sturdy, and I use the back of them. Now, I don't use the ones that I'm going to use in other things, but there's often a pattern in one of these pads that, you know, it's not too bad, but you're just never going to use it. So that's a good one to use for, you know, collage masterboard, or as I did with my, when I did my ring journal earlier in the year for my friend, I use them, and that was a tip from Tina at Shabby Dabby Doodah. You can actually, because these are thick cardstock, I think there was one that was out, let me just see, or one that I've cut, but because they're thick cardstock, if you double them over, you can then use them as a scrapbook journal page. I'm going to put this out of the way. So, no further ado, here is my collage masterboard, and I just wanted to show you, I didn't want to go faff around and do this on camera, but I have got pages of a novel. I've got pages from an Edith Holden, and if you look here, I've actually got it in two different sizes. So this was a paperback one that I got first, and then I ordered another one that I found quite cheaply online. I think it was like $2 or something plus postage, and it was it turned out to be a hardcover one, and of course the print is bigger, and I actually like mixing the two different size fonts. Well, two different sizes, because the font's different, and just mix it up. And some of these are just torn edges from where I've torn things, and some of these are just cut strips, really small, that I couldn't really do much else with. But when you cut them up into a tag, or put on a collage masterboard, you can cut it up. Now, my technique, and this, I'm not reinventing the wheel here, everyone does this, I put big pieces in the background. So that's the manuscript paper, there's bits of novel underneath, and then there's big bits of the Edith Holden, and so on. And then you start filling up the gaps between that. And I used my tacky glue because it's slow drying. So I've got Heisercraft tacky glue. I know there's like Anita tacky glue and other types, and I just put a lot down, and then I also put a little bit on the one for the bigger pieces. That's how I did it, and then with the smaller ones I just put on the back of each piece, and it was just like filling up. So you can see I've got smaller bits of book pages. I've got the offcuts like I showed here from the project that I'm working on, and of course these can all be, I mean, I could use them for anything, but this is all very much tailored towards the lapbook project that I'm working on, because these are all offcuts from that project. Now it took me maybe 45 minutes to do all this, and that even included the sorting at the start, because I sorted through some of my scraps were from other projects, and some of them I used like one of this bit, but it's very black, and I actually found that it was too dark. I mean, this bit here is attached to a lighter bit, but this one on its own I found a bit too dark. I like the stripy one, and it was already cut thin, so I've used that to fill up some gaps in between the bigger pieces, and that looks like a little bit of a gap there, so I'll make sure I cover that up. Now, previously I have done these, and I've cut them up this size, goes that way. This is like a steampunk one that I did, and that's 3 inches by 4 inches. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 by 3, got 12. So I could do the same thing again, but I was actually thinking to change it up a bit. What I might do is still do 3 inches across, but I'll do a couple of them this size. So maybe 2, so they get 6 of this size. And then these ones I could maybe do 6 inches, make them a bit bigger. Maybe that's too big. How big is 6 inches? I don't think in inches, I think in centimeters. 6 inches, that's that big. That would be a really big tag, wouldn't it? Maybe 5 would be better. If I did 5, that would leave 2 inches at the top. Maybe that would be 2 by 6 at the top, or 2 by 3. 2 by 3. Anyway, so now I'm gonna cut it up, and it's a little bit of serendipity. And as you can see on this one that I did before, you actually ink it afterwards. This is one of my labels from Spellbinders, Nestabilities. It's my favorite. I love that so much. Anyway, yeah, so you cut it up and see how that's a lot. Oh, sorry. The other thing I did was I did a little bit of stamping on some of the blank bits, just because that one and that one were already pre-stamped. That's like some music and that's a manuscript. And then I did a bit of other stamping over the top, just so there wasn't too many blank spaces. But I'll layer with die cuts and fussy cuts and things once I've cut it up. Once I work it, and also, you know, labels and that kind of stuff, once I know what I'm using it for. In the past, I have put a lot of die cuts and things before I cut it, and that made it really difficult to cut. So I don't want to do it that way this time. That's why I'm trying to work out, you know, if I do 3, 3, maybe 4, no, maybe even 2. That's 6. Maybe if I did 2, 2.5. I don't know. Maths is hard. Anyway, I'm going to get my paper cutter and see how we go. Okay, so I've cut all this up and I've made a whole bunch of different sizes. My first lot were, I don't know what's what anymore, so I think it's these ones. So I cut it in half first, so 6 inches and 6 inches. So I made these ones, which were 3 inches by 4 inches. I think that's the first lot. That was actually from the second lot. So 3 of those, and then 3 inches by 3 inches. So they're basically square. And then when I cut the second lot in half, or when I'm cutting out the second half, I made one. Who knows which one it is now? Oh, ended up being 2 the same. I made one that was just 6 inches across the top. That's not that one. Oh, I know why. I then cut another one smaller, so it was 2 inches. So maybe that one. Yeah, okay. So I cut that one from the top 3 inches. Yep, 3 inches, and then I made so it's sideways rather than long ways. And then I cut that one off just so it's like a little tuck. And all of these can be journaled on the back, or you can put a piece of paper on it for journaling. You can cut the corners if you want to make them into tags, or just use them as journal cards, or just an embellishment. So that's that one. Those 2 would go that way. And then these are 2 that were, you know, long ways. I think they were effectively side by side. Yeah, that way. So those ones are 5, and these ones are 4. Maybe there. Or there. Cut, doesn't matter. They're all cut up now. So yeah, so these ones are 5, these ones are 4, and then these ones were also 4, so they're all the same size. These ones are 3, and these ones are the landscape ones, 2 and 6. So That's another 4 effectively though. Yeah. And then 2. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 different bits from my collage masterboard. I'm not going to do anything else with them right now. It means that, but it means they're ready to go when I'm need something for my Lapbook. And if I just want to put a little bit on a birthday card or something else, that ready to go. And never underestimate how important it is to have things like this. I've mentioned it before, but I very badly broke my arm in December last year, so 12 months ago. It was a break of my humerus, so just below my shoulder socket, with a spiral fracture almost down to my elbow. I spent 2 months in a cast, and then I spent another 4 months in a brace, in a sling. So I had 6 months altogether in a sling. I had actually done a collage masterboard for my Christmas cards before that, and I'd already cut them up and I started to make my cards. Now I didn't finish them off as much as I had wanted to in the final days before I was due to mail them, but the fact that I had my collage masterboards done meant that my husband was just able to write in the cards for me, for my work colleagues and also family, and also the friends that we posted them out to. And I used a set of papers, Australian design papers with sort of the colours of the Southern Aurora. No snow scenes for me, but I'd actually started that in November. Just whipped up a collage masterboard, cut them all up, used them for my Christmas cards, because I just was trying something a bit different, and it was fantastic. And just having that on hand, even like I'd already made up one set of cards, but I had the masterboard cards ready to go. Just having those bits of card on hand just made a world of difference. Now I had intended to layer them with other papers and put all kinds of embellishments on. That didn't happen, but it meant that I had something ready to go when I was in a hanging slab cast that weighed nearly 5 kilos and unable to do anything. So, you know, first of all, don't break your humerus, do not recommend. But, you know, if you're in a situation where due to time, injury, other health issues, family commitments, you can't sit down and take as much time as you would want to, you know, have something like this whipped up ready to go, and it can go on the front of a card, stamp happy birthday. It can go in a journal. This one's got something on the back, so you'd have to put a bit of paper, but you know, it's handy technique. It's a great way to use up your scraps when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by them. I mean, this has used up more than half of what was in that little tray. I mean, I do have, obviously, these book pages still here, but that's okay. I mean, they're big pieces, they're not too bad. And it clears the decks so that you can have more fun. Anyway, that's it for this video. It's just a little quick one. As I said, nothing groundbreakingly new, but I just thought for those who haven't seen a collage masterboard or not really sure what to do with it, I'd already made it, and my decision was to make it and then show the aftermath, because watching me glue down bits of paper isn't very exciting. But yeah, quick, easy, handy to have. I make these about once a month. I make a collage masterboard. You could easily do that yourself. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Catch up with you next time.